Hello, this is Adam with Dream Made Productions. This video is brought to you by viewers like you. Thank you. If you would like to join the ranks of those helping to make this project a reality, please see my Patreon or PayPal linked below. Since there will be no battle report this week, I thought I would share with you some of my BattleTech journey. As I've mentioned before, my history with BattleTech begins with MechWarrior 1989 for the PC. I don't know exactly when it happened. My memory of those early years is very faded now. I do seem to remember that my cousin Jordan gave me a 3.5-inch floppy disk with the letters MW written on it. Oddly enough, a while back I was cleaning out a box and found an old plastic disc holder, and among the discs inside, I am fairly sure this is the actual disc. I don't know where my cousin got his disc, or who was lucky enough to have bought the original MechWarrior back in the day, but I am glad this game fell into my lap. I played MechWarrior for endless hours. The battles, the travel, buying and selling mechs, hiring MechWarriors. I was hooked. Even the PC speaker music sticks in my head 30 plus years later. At some point, I remember the game stopped working. I think the poor disk was just worn out, or the data got corrupted. Either way, at the time, I had no idea that MechWarrior was a thing beyond that disk. One day, I was taken on a shopping trip to town and allowed to go into a comic shop or bookstore. I don't remember which, but there on the wall was a 3025 map of Inner Sphere. I recognized the map from the game I love so much. I was in middle school by then, and that was my first real introduction to BattleTech. The books, maps, box sets, minis. I could not believe it. There was more to MechWarrior, and it was called BattleTech. I asked my parents for some of the stuff and they said no. Not surprising, really. We were poor, and I was very likely still under the suggested age. My family does play games from time to time, but we're talking more the normal family games here. Life, Monopoly, checkers, card games, and all those word games. Eventually, I was given Hero Quest, but that's a story for another day. I would go years before I would see another excursion into the BattleTech universe. In late middle school, or maybe my first year of high school, I remember seeing a colorful box at a computer store. Its title filled me with hope. MechWarrior 2. That box just screamed cool, and the screenshots on the back looked amazing. Yeah, we are in the Stone Age here, but just roll with it. I mowed yards and saved up money all summer. Then I managed to get a ride into town and bought the DOS version of MechWarrior 2. I raced back to my dad's house and couldn't wait to install and play the game. Then I booted it up for the first time, and the family 66 megahertz processor just couldn't handle it. Despite having the game, I had no way to play it. It was not a total loss. Back then you actually got stuff with your games. And the instruction manual to MechWarrior 2 was a gold mine of reading. I would flip through those pages, absorbing every bit of information I could, until an opportunity presented itself. In school, I was a pretty good student. I was not the best. I was not the worst. Just a poor farmer's kid that tried. Then one day, I was assigned computer lab. The teacher was one of those cool teachers. You know the kind. Here's the lesson, do your work, pass the test, and as long as you don't cause any trouble, I'm going to turn a blind eye to as much as I can. One of those kind of teachers. One day, he just let us do whatever on the computers. Many of us brought in games, and I brought in MechWarrior 2. While not the best experience, it was enough that I could experience the game, at least until I got a PC of my very own years later. I would sneak the CD in with me and try to play here and there after I got my work done. Other students would do similar things, mostly with Quake or the original Grand Theft Auto. And of course, you had those few kids who just had to ruin it for all by watching like prison wardens and tattling every chance they got. But it was enough for now. Around the same time, I got my first real BattleTech possessions and got to play. The son of my dad's friend had a box set, and I got to play with his friends a few times. It did not last long, but it cemented my love of BattleTech. I'm not sure when exactly, but I got myself a copy of the 3025 Tech Readout. I would read that book for hours. I would wish for the box set and to play more, but alas, the end of childhood was nigh and responsibilities called. My first real job was at Blockbuster Video, and it fueled my love of video games. Finally, after years of having only a few games, mostly out of bargain bins, I could play almost anything I wanted. We got so many free rentals a week, and I would use at least one or two on games. I was the games guy at Blockbuster. The NES was going out, and the N64 and PlayStation were coming in. At first, I tried to pick up a lot of SNES games I wanted, but could never get. Happily, this is where some of my more expensive games came from before they skyrocketed in price years later. I just wish I had managed to get more. In my travels to find SNES games cheap, I started going up to, in my mind at least now, a legendary flea market. It's gone now. Not through any real fault of its own, but a victim of local politics. Again, a story for another day. There is where I picked up my first real mechs. Real or fake, who can say? But some guy was there selling used minis to BattleTech and a ton of other games. At the same flea market, I picked up my very used, but now very mine, copy of the 3rd edition box set. Sadly, those mechs would see very little use, and some would be sold and others lost. High school, plus chores around the farm, plus 30 to 38 hour work weeks at Blockbuster, and trying to get into college does not a good gaming schedule make. My next dive into BattleTech would be building my first PC, playing MechWarrior 2 Mercenaries briefly, then experiencing what is still my favorite MechWarrior game to date, MechWarrior 3, and the trouble my college friends and I got into at school because of it. Well, I think I've reminisced enough for you guys. Humble beginnings to what would be a love of BattleTech that would see crushing defeat and then bloom again, only to enter what might be BattleTech's new age. I hope you have enjoyed this little trip down memory lane. If you like, I'll continue this story time, but I'm looking forward to getting that battle report out to you when I have access to my editing PC again. If you enjoy my work, please subscribe, like, and comment below. The most important thing you can do is by sharing this channel with anyone you think might be interested. If you are in a position to help the channel meet its financial goals, please visit my Patreon page at www.patreon.com/DreamMadeProductions, link below. Thank you for giving me the opportunity to entertain you, and as always, I hope you enjoy the battle reps that are to come.